Hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to something a little bit different. Bit of a preview, I suppose you could say, of The Alters. For those not across it, Steam Next Fest has just kicked off and I'm flirting with the idea of covering demos that I find throughout the course of it. Maybe we'll do a best in show at the end of the week, who knows. I've already played the demo build of Alters and it's absolutely standout, fantastic. I put an hour in, I put it down, I forced myself to put it down because I am sold. I'm going to play this on release and likely review it. So it's that good, and you should check out the demo build yourself. If you're not sold, this is being made by 11-Bit Studios, who almost never miss, apart from Indica, but just about, I think everything else they've ever released I loved. It's apparently coming out this year, but there's no fixed date as yet. However, this build is pretty phenomenal. Surely it can't be that far off. We've got Frostpunk 2 on the horizon, that's going to ruffle some feathers through 11-Bit Studios, but I digress. So the conceit, you're playing this bloke, Jan. You've crash landed on a planet. It's a bit vague on the info, but it seems like you're on some sort of expedition to find bloody unobtainium, MacGuffitanium. Basically a MacGuffin mineral that's going to solve all the problems on Earth and that sort of thing. Everyone's dead, only you have survived. And there's this big circular wheel traveling base. And there's a bit of a sort of chase the sun, gotta move it so you don't get burnt up by the approaching sun or something like that. At its core, ultimately, your base is sort of ant farm buildable in the vein of something like an XCOM, and you navigate around. It feels like it probably works really well with control, actually. It's a little bit clunky using WASD moving through the base. And you can freely move it all around and build things, and you do little forays outside in your space suit to pick up more materials. And look, as far as like inspirations and vibes, it very much feels like that movie Moon. It's like Moon the video game basically. But even like Death Stranding, like very different the way it plays, but that sort of primordial volcanic landscape and moving around, and the soundtrack really complements it as well. It has this really good eerie, mysterious sci-fi mouthfeel to it. But at its core conceit, you have a quantum computer in the base, and it would seem it's got like a DNA sort of brain map record of your dude, which it displays quite handily as, you know, the kind of 20 big milestones of his life of, you know, leaving home, missing, say, the death of his mother, going and having a relationship and having that fall apart and do a different career, that sort of stuff. So it lays out what makes Jan through sort of life choices. And using this magic MacGuffin rock, you can stick that in the machine and you can essentially clone a version of yourself, and it twizzles a branching path. Now, I've only really made one because I was only going to spend 30 minutes with the demo, but I couldn't stop. I had to know. So after about an hour, it let me make another Jan. And it's good. It's addressing issues candidly without browbeating. Like, it's off to a really good start, the writing wise. So the other dude's a bit more gruff, and you interact with him, and it has these like visual bubbles in real time sort of popping up showing the stat changes, you know, anxious or insecure or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw this sort of actual tangible physical UI denotation of emotional state changes, because, you know, it's very difficult to get an empathetic read on indie faces. I think it's actually a really good mechanic. So you sort of trying to interact with this dude who's quite gruff, but, you know, he's asking the questions. He's like, what if you didn't make me? What if you didn't make me up? Because ultimately I need him to pull a switch while I press another button. It's a two-man bloody trigger. So that's why he exists. And you can just lay it out to him, you know, mate, I probably wouldn't have brought you to an existence. He's like, well, I appreciate you being honest. But the dude's pretty upset because he's found out the only reason he exists is to pull a lever to help someone else. And so you're off to a rocky start. But yeah, it seems to be broaching, at least in the early stage, some pretty cool little think threads that you can tug on. And it doesn't baby you. Because as wonderful as this could be, and, you know, it's still early days, obviously, but this is something that could be easily co-opted by an overzealous writer that has a worldview that they think is right, and they're going to make you fucking experience it whether you like it or not. So it does seem to be staying in that realm of believability, of just dudes interacting with each other. So you run around, you build buildings, you build out items, that sort of stuff. You can sort of accelerate time to do tasks, which is very clever. You just hold down the bottom and the world speeds up, and that's how you do speed tasks. And I kind of like that. I like these clever ways of skipping time-intensive tasks. And like I could set up a sort of mining facility outside, like a gentle one with pylons running back to the base to power it as well. So there seems to be a lot of different systems that aren't immediately obvious, internal and external to the ship, and it's got a cool like plot going on. Anyway, I'm just really gobsmacked by how clever and interesting it is. So I thought for my part I would do a video. You should check it out yourself and see if this is your kind of thing. Look forward to seeing more of it on the channel. I'll at least do an overview. I can't see why I wouldn't cover the whole game entirely. Anyway team, might just leave it there for the time being. I'll catch you guys on the next one.